I'm Jose Atencio, and this is Tower Life, your new way to view money. We don't use banks. We help you become your own banker. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our channel. Today, I'm going to be discussing with you a very special strategy. This is a strategy to use the First Home Savings Account and IBC, the combined power of the two, to go buy your first house in Canada. So for those of you that don't have your first home yet, this is a very special one that you want to listen to. So stay tuned and let's jump right into it. So this is a strategy that combines the usage of IBC and the First Home Savings Account. And what we do with this strategy is basically we're going to have the government pay up to $20,000 of our down payment in money that we recapture from our taxes. It's a very, very nice strategy. So I'm going to show that to you right away. What are we going to be discussing today? Today, we're going to be discussing first, what is the First Home Savings Account? Here, what is the First Home Savings Account? What is the infinite banking concept for those of you that don't know it? What is the funding process to make this work? And I'm going to show you how building wealth in the insurance sector and away from bankers, Wall Street, and the state looks like, because that is the IBC component of this strategy. So not only we are going to be saving for the down payment of a first house, but we're also going to be saving up all that capital into the insurance sector away from market volatility and the bankers and Wall Street and all that fun stuff. So let's, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what the First Home Savings Account is. It was introduced in April 1st, 2023. For those that don't know it, it is one of the registered accounts that the government offers. You know that the government creates the problems and then they offer you the solution, right? Pretty typical of the government. It is a program that has been offered by the government. The same government that inflated house prices, the same government that taxes us to death. It offers this program as a way for you to buy your first house. And I want to call this one the precursor of the first cardboard box account, FCBA. It's going to help you save for down payment free from confiscation. So just like a tax-free savings account, but for the specific purpose of buying your first house. So all the growth that's going to happen inside of this First Home Savings Account, it's going to be tax-free, basically. So whatever we invest the funds or, whatever we invest the funds to buy our first house in this FHSA, that growth is going to come tax-free. The annual limit for this account is $8,000. So that's your limit. You know, as everything with the government, there's limits to how much you can put into these. But yeah, they don't have any limits to how much money they can print out of the central bank. But I digress. The lifetime limit of this First Home Savings Account is $40,000. So that is your max contribution. And for the money that you're going to be using for the down payment of your first house. The unused room or carry forward, there's a max of $8,000. So basically what happens is that for any year that you do not make any contributions to the FHSA, you get to keep up to $8,000 of that unused contribution per year. So let's say we open an account this year for you and you don't do any contribution this year, but you decide to make contributions in 2026. Then in 2026, you're going to have the $8,000 of space of 2025 plus $8,000 of space in 2026 for a total of $16,000. The contributions that you do to the FHSA do reduce your taxable income. So that's going to allow us to rescue some of the income that the CRA confiscated from you guys. What means is that we're going to get a tax refund because we made some contributions to the FHSA. Now, what is the infinite banking concept? And that's what we specialize on here at Tower Life. So the infinite banking concept is basically a system to recapture the interest that you will pay for financing the things of life. And I created a video that goes deep into the infinite banking concept that you can also check out here on YouTube. It is a system that provides you with true uninterrupted compound interest, which is something that you cannot do with any other system in the financial world. It is a way of building wealth away from the bankers into the insurance sector. So away from Wall Street, away from the bankers, away from the government, into the safe and sound money insurance sector, which are masters at risk management. A huge aspect of the IBC concept is that allows you to grow capital confiscation free, meaning tax free. So when we use the IBC concept to grow capital inside of the insurance sector, we are making sure that our money grows tax free. So not only tax free, but away from the volatility of the markets. Another big one in my book is that by implementing IBC, you become part of the solution and not the problem. What is the problem? Central banking is a problem. What is the problem? Traditional banking is a problem. Central banking and traditional banking both work against us by inflating the money supply, and that's why every time that you go and buy groceries or buy anything else, things keep getting more and more expensive because central banks and the bankers keep inflating our supply. And then we go and give them our money to keep it from us and have them use that money, right? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to be part of that problem? I present you here the way to secede from that system and become part of the solution with IBC. The IBC concept is building capital and wealth creation inside of whole life insurance contracts. These are contracts that are specially designed to build wealth. This is not your traditional whole life. This is whole life just specifically related to create wealth and to use this as a warehouse of capital and wealth. And very important aspect of this contract is this is a private contract, guys. This is a private contract between you and the insurance company. The government has nothing to do with this contract. The government is not part of this contract. But for example, when you go and open an RRSP, right, to save for retirement or any other retirement account, you are partnering up with the government. They'll tell you how much you can invest in this accounts every year. And not only that, they decide at the moment you retire the funds, they're going to decide the tax bracket they're going to decide the tax rate that's going to apply to your withdraw from these accounts. So, think about it. Do you want to partner up with the government, or would you rather partner up with an insurance company to build your capital? And another key aspect of IBC is Austrian economics applied. And that's a broader subject. That's another video to explain how IBC is Austrian economics applied. But essentially, IBC is for those of us that advocate for sound money. We advocate for smaller government. We advocate for free markets. We advocate for the value of thrift. And we understand that capital formation and savings are the cornerstone of a healthy economy. So that is IBC in a nutshell. Again, I have another video that talks about the IBC concept in detail. Feel free to check that one out. So now I'm going to go and show you what the funding process of this strategy looks like. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is go open the First Home Savings Account. And now, even if you don't want to start right now, right? Even if you're not ready to start, I would encourage you to open the FHSA, contact me, contact the office. We're going to do this for you. We can open an FHSA, even if you're not ready to make any deposits into that. Why do I say that? Because those $8,000 contribution, it goes per year, right? So if you say, hey, I'm not ready, but probably going to be ready by next year, we should open that account today so that you don't lose the contribution room for 2025, which is $8,000. So we have the FHSA open. After that, we also open a specially designed participating whole life policy. And this is a whole life policy that I will design for you. This is a policy that's created to grow wealth. After we open the whole life policy, okay, we are going to start making contributions, okay, into this policy. And you want to do those contributions either monthly or annually. Okay, what's going to happen is that once you start making the contributions, the capital accumulated inside of this whole life policy, it's going to be increasing. Okay, now we start accumulating that money into the whole life policy, and we do that for at least 2 years. Now, what happens after the 2 years is that by that time, we should have a room of $16,000 inside of that FHSA. And we then take a loan from the whole life policy, and we use that loan to go fund your First Home Savings Account. Okay. Now, what happens when we do that is that, let's say our income for 2026, let's say it was 100K. Okay. What's going to happen when we do that transfer from the whole life policy into the First Home Savings Account is that your income is going to be reduced by 16K. And then that it's going to make your income for 2026, it's going to be 84K, right? And this is just an illustration, right? Just an example. But what happens here is that, you know, if you are at this income level in Alberta, it is around 35% tax rate, and that's the marginal tax rate. What's going to happen is that this 16K of contributions, right, you are going to receive a tax refund of at least $5,600. Okay, and that's the 35% of 16K. Now, what we do is that we take this money, the $5,600, and we go and reinvest that into our whole life policy. Okay? And now our whole life policy keeps increasing, providing you not only with your capital, but also a dividend and a death benefit as well. So we get our money to do several things at the same time. Okay? And now what we do for the subsequent years is that we make contributions. Okay? again, contributions to the whole life policy. Contributions keeps increasing our whole life policy. We then take a policy loan for year 3 into the FHSA, and that increases the FHSA by $8,000. Okay. And we keep doing the same every year. So after we do that contribution of $8,000, we are going to get another refund from the CRA of 35% of 8,000. And that, that 35% depends on your tax bracket, where you are, right? And that's your tax marginal tax rate. But for 100K, that's the example that I'm giving. So in this case, year 3, we get 2,800. Again, we take the 2,800 and we bring the 2,800 into the whole life, right? We then take another loan from the 2,800 from your whole life policy into the FHSA, and FHSA increases by 8,000, right? You keep making your premiums into the whole life. And again, another year passes by, right? We take a loan from whole life into FHSA of $8,000, right? And then that $8,000 of contribution gives us a check from CRA again from 2,800. We take that money, 2,800, and send that to our whole life policy, right? What we're doing here is capturing that money, right? We are capturing the money for the rest of our lives. That money that we are funding into this whole life policy is guaranteed to work for us, shelter from taxation, shelter from market volatility, providing us liquidity at all times, and providing our family with a death benefit, which is the inheritance component of this strategy, right? So at the end of this 5 years, basically, what's going to happen is that we are going to have a total of $40,000, okay, inside of the first homeowner savings account. And then we take that $40,000 and buy our first home, okay? We're going to give that down payment and go buy our first home. Now, you may ask, okay, well, we're taking loans from the whole life policy. What do we do with those loans? We pay those loans on our own terms. When you take loans from the whole life policy, you become the banker. You decide when you pay back and how. So if you want to pay back those loans, you want to put $200 a month, you can do that. You want to put $500 a month, you can do that. Whatever you want to do, you can do that, right? So after we go and buy the home, as I said before, so a key aspect that happens here is that those 40K that we took here, and this is key, guys, pay attention here. Those $40,000 that we use to go buy the home, right? Those $40,000 are still working inside of a whole life policy. Think about that. $40,000 still generating interest on your favor and generating a dividend on your favor, right? Sure, we took some loans, okay? We did take some loans, but we have interest and dividend working for us, and most importantly, we have 40K still working for us inside of the whole life policy, and now we can pay back those loans however we want, right? And also we have our house. So we have our house, we have a very powerful instrument, which is the participating whole life policy, working for you for the rest of your life. You have 40K inside of the policy working for you for the rest of your life. And a couple of key aspects of this is, and I'm going to show you that later in this video, but a couple of key aspects here are, for example, this 40K right here for a 30-year-old male non-smoker. $40K. How much do you think 40K buys in permanent insurance for a 30-year-old? 40K, it's going to buy approximately $200,000 of permanent insurance. Okay. So not only you bought your house, not only that money, that 40K is still working for you inside of the policy, generating interest and dividend and growing tax-free, shelter from market volatility, but those 40K bought you approximately $200,000 in permanent insurance. And when I say permanent, it means permanent, right? A lot of people have term insurance policies. They call that the cheap policies, right? So think about that. If you have a policy that is eventually going to expire, do you want to buy a policy that's eventually going to expire, or would you rather buy a policy that's going to remain for you for the rest of your life, right? So see the impact of this strategy. On top of that, right, we, for this specific scenario of an income of $100,000, we have approximately $14,000 that have been paid from the CRA back to the individual. Okay. And how? This is tax refunds, just by doing the contributions to the FHSA. Okay. And if you are at the 50% marginal tax rate, for those of you that are making more than $250,000 per year, okay, you are around this number, then 50% of that 40K, it's going to be $20,000. Okay. So we are able to recapture up to $20,000 here with a 50% marginal tax rate. And we recapture that back into our whole life, from the whole life into the first home savings account. And ultimately, we use that money to go buy our house. So you could potentially go and buy a house with just, instead of the 40K in down payment, you could give net 20K down payment when you factor in this return from the CRA. Okay, so now I want to show you how the whole life policy will look like for a scenario like this. Okay, and keep in mind that the numbers are going to be different depending on your age, on your sex, depending on your health and other factors. However, this policy that I'm going to show you, this illustration, should give you an idea on how things look like in the short, medium, and long run. So let's jump into it. Okay, so this is a policy. This is a policy where we have a 30-year-old male, okay, put in $10,000 per year, okay. We have here on this column, we have the years, and we have the age of the policyholder. Now, out of the $10,000, only $3,800 are required. The rest is optional. Okay, that's a key factor here. So if things go south, we are only required to come up with $3,800 per year in this policy. Now, if everything goes to plan, okay, and we want to build this wealth that we need to go buy our home, in combination with the FHSA, the strategy I just presented to you, we're going to have $10,000 here on cash, creating $8,300 in cash value, and death benefit from day one. Sorry, this is the first year. A death benefit on the first year of $286,000. Okay. Keep in mind that at all times, we have access to up to 90% of this column right here. Okay. So for a given year, you have up to 90%, to have access to up to 90% of that value right there through policy loans, right? And why policy loans? We take policy loans so that the money that we are depositing into this policy as premium, it keeps growing tax-free for us, and it keeps generating this beautiful dividend right here, okay? And a death benefit. If we take a withdrawal instead of a loan, which we can do, right, the death benefit will go down and the dividend as well will go down, okay? So just clearing that out, that's why we do policy loan, and that's how the IBC is done, right? We want to leverage capital. We don't want to part with capital. We want to leverage that capital and do the things of life. We want to accumulate capital. We want to protect capital, and that's what we do with this strategy. Okay, so on the specifics of the FHSA strategy, okay, let's assume you are putting $10,000, okay, per year. And on year 5, we have a total outlay of $50K, okay, on year 5, right? So we have that here. Let me just add that here. So on year 5, you have $50K, right? But see how much do we have in cash value, right? We were in the negative on the first year, second year, third year, fourth year. And the 5th year, our total outlay is $50K, but we have $50K in cash value. From then onwards is all up, up, up. Crazy, right? This is the power of this financial instrument that not many people know about. So 5 years, $50K, we can take up to 90%, okay, up to 90% of this column on a given moment. And if we go and take 90% of $50K, we have enough for the $40K, right, that we contributed to the first home savings account. Okay. And as you can see now, like tied to the strategy that I was discussing, on the second year, we have $18,000. We take 90% of that, and we have more than enough to contribute this $16K into the FHSA, right? Now, that's just for the 5 years. So the beauty of this is that we started a system, we created an asset that has the potential not only to help you buy your first home, but also help you finance all the things for the rest of your life, okay? So if you continue to make the $10,000 per year in premiums, right? By the time this person turns 50, they have more than $300,000 in capital, right? So 20 years, that's 200K, okay, in outlay, but you have $329,000 available in cash value. And we can use 90% of that at all times through policy loans. Not only that, if this person were to pass away, they will leave behind almost $1 million. Huge. Powerful. So just think about that. What could you do with all this cash value? By having access to capital all these years, what could you do with that? And apart from that, if you have a family, if you have a significant other, right? How would they feel knowing that regardless of what happens, they will be covered financially, right? And again, this is shelter from taxation, shelter from market volatility. You don't care if the stock market goes up or down, if the economy crashes, if there's a depression. That has nothing to do with this. Okay? Now let me show you what happens to this person, right? Just because they implemented this concept. If we go at retirement age, let's just talk about retirement. Okay, this person at retirement, 65. Let's just call that retirement age for this person, right? They have 35 years at a $10,000 contribution. Let's see how much they have in cash value. Almost $1 million in cash value with a $10,000 contribution per year. $350,000 total outlay. And almost $1 million here. What other financial instrument can provide you this on a guaranteed basis? What other financial instrument can provide you this sort of flexibility, this performance, shelter from taxation? Can your RRSP do this? Can your RRSP do something like this while still providing you access to your capital at any times? While also providing you with a permanent death benefit? See, in this case, at 65, this person has $1.7 million in permanent death benefit. That is the legacy aspect of this. And then if we talk life expectancy, right, which is hovering around 85, 84, right? Then in this specific example, we have 55 years, let's say 85. 55 years at $10,000, that's $500,000, right? See how much do we have here in cash value? Almost $3 million. And then as a death benefit, we have $3.5 million. Do you need to do anything else? Do you need to care and chase the latest and greatest crypto? Do you need to chase the latest and greatest stock or mutual fund? Do you need to buy term and invest the difference? Is that really necessary? When you can have growing your capital tax-free and shelter from the market volatility and have the insurance company manage all of that for you? Think about that, right? Is this the sort of asset that you want to build? Because this is an asset that gives you that control and that security. This is your financial foundation. This is the base. We believe that this should be the base of every individual. On top of that, do you want to build investments on top of that? Do that. This is not an investment. This is building capital. This is becoming your own banker. This is having access to capital at all times. This is you building a pool of capital that's going to not only change your life, but it's going to change the life of the next generation and so forth, right? So that's it for today. I thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and thanks for watching. See you later.